So then guys, Apple's WWDC 2023 date has been announced, but the bigger question is Apple still doing an event in April time or has it been cancelled? So that's right guys, everybody on YouTube right now are going, Apple have just announced their brand new Apple event for the summertime and WWDC is coming! But we always know that WWDC is always coming because, you know, I think this is like the 34th year, 35th year, I don't even know how many years. It happens every year, no matter what. So for everyone to go, oh, it's a big surprise, it's not really because, you know, it always happens in the summer and guess what? It's happening in June, happening on June 5th and to be deadly honest with you guys, go check out other YouTubers out there because they'll be talking about all the bits and pieces and whatever about it. But the main reason why you guys are watching today's video is all about the April event. What happened to it? Or, you know, is it going to still happen? Also, what happened to a March event? You know, because we're right at the end of March now at the time of this video going live. So what happened there? Well, let's go over all the factors here if we are going to even have an April event. Well, just a quick recap guys, as you know already in 2023 we actually had sort of a virtual event or a press release as we call it, and at that one we saw the brand new Mac Mini with the M2 and the M2 Pro, and also we got the new 14 and 16 inch MacBook Pros with the updated M2 Pro and M2 Max, and I've talked to death about this and so have other YouTubers about those design changes, what lack of design changes, and also the upgrade in chipsets. So again, not going to bother talking about that. The point is that that's the first sort of products that came out in 2023. What was a bit of a surprise for us, but we're now expecting still Apple to release loads more products in 2023. And one of those products right now we're expecting to see is a larger MacBook Air. Now the question about this larger MacBook Air is whether it'll have an M2 or an M3 chipset inside it. If it is to have an M2 chipset inside it, it's more likely than not that we'll actually see this probably at an April event coming up very soon. And also at the same time as well, if Apple do plan to start their M3 journey, say at WWDC, we also know that a Mac Pro is imminent as well. And again, this would probably be shown at an April event if we're going to actually have one. Now I'll talk a little bit more about the specs of both of those bits of hardware in a moment, but you're probably saying, well, if WWDC has been announced, then Matt, that is the next Apple event, there isn't going to be one in April time. Well guys, you're actually incorrect there. Back in 2021, at the end of March time, we had the announcement of WWDC, and then later on in April, we actually had an Apple event. We had a spring loaded event in 2021 in April time. And this could happen again this year in 2023. You got to remember, when Apple do WWDC, they invite loads of developers, get everybody ready, because at the end of the day, people need to book holiday or they need to book time off, training or whatever like that. So they're prepping you well in advance to get you available for WWDC, because at the end of the day, it is a developers conference. At the end of the day, that's what it stands for, the Worldwide Developers Conference. So that developer conference part, yep, it's a huge, big part of it. You developers out there getting ready for that. But for the actual sort of like Apple events, for hardware, things like this, Apple tend to do an announcement probably 10 days or 7 days before they actually do the actual announcement of that actual hardware event. So it's going to be possibly coming still in April. And also that if we do get an announcement, it probably won't be for another probably a week or two at least. And if we are going to have an actual event in April time, it's probably going to be more likely about mid to end April what we actually will see it. Most likely, I'm going to actually say it'll be beyond Easter, because we've got Easter coming up, and Apple know that loads of people do celebrate Easter around the world, so I'm sure they'll just go a bit beyond that, and then they'll actually have their Apple event if they are going to do it at probably the end part of April, and that's my own opinion there. But as I talked about earlier, at this Apple event, if it does happen in April time, we will have these two bits of hardware. They'll have that larger MacBook Air and also the Mac Pro. Let's talk about the MacBook Air and what we're probably going to get with that. Most likely, we're probably going to be seeing a 15-inch display on this MacBook Air, and basically it's going to be just a larger version of the M2 MacBook Air that we got last year at WWDC. The chipset inside it will probably be an M2. The ports on the side will probably also be the same with MagSafe and two USB-C ports or Thunderbolt 4 ports on there, and also probably the colors will have that midnight color, and the overall design will just look like a larger version of that MacBook Air. At the end of the day, the best way to think about this is think of the sort of 16-inch MacBook Pro over the 14-inch MacBook Pro. They basically look identical. They've got the same ports. The 16-inch model is just basically a bit more of a blown up version of that 14-inch. The same with iPhones as well, like the iPhone 14, the iPhone 14 Plus, and the iPhone 14 Pro, and the iPhone 14 Pro Max. They literally look the same, their counterparts, but they're just a bigger version. So expect the same here with this larger MacBook Air. Don't expect a radical different design for this larger MacBook. It will probably be very similar to what we have right now with the 13.6-inch MacBook Air. But there are three questions that keep coming to me all the time from you guys, and one person keeps asking all the time is, will we get ProMotion on this MacBook Air? And I'm going to tell you right now, probably not. You're probably just going to get a 60 Hz display, because at the end of the day, the MacBook Air is kind of that sort of standard sort of MacBook. It's not designed to be a Pro. If you want to get a Pro, you buy yourself a Pro, so it's not going to have like that sort of 120 Hz ProMotion, so don't expect that on a MacBook Air, especially even if it's a larger model. Also, another question that's been asked is, what about the sort of M2 Pro? Will that go inside this MacBook Air? And that is a possibility. It could happen, but for Apple to do that, they would have to put a fan inside the MacBook Air, and I don't know how they're going to equip that in if they did do that, but there is a possibility that could happen. But I would say definitely probably M2s for sure to come out in it if the product comes out in April time. Then finally, battery life. Other people have been asking, what will the battery life be? Well, in my opinion, I actually think the battery life in this MacBook Air, this large one, will probably be the best one out there. At the end of the day, the M2 chipset isn't too thirsty, and if we're having sort of a design what's a 15-inch sort of model, and it's going to be using that M2 chipset, probably this will be the MacBook that will have the longest battery life out there of all the models out there right now, even more than the 16-inch MacBook Pro. So expect kind of a 24-hour sort of battery life, or even possibly even more. It's going to be really, really cool. But the other product that we're probably going to see in April, if they do have an event in April time, will be the Mac Pro. And this is the last sort of Apple Mac product to transition from Intel over to Apple Silicon. We've heard lots of leaks and rumors over the last couple of years, and the main thing what's basically been staying the same is the design of the 2019 Mac Pro that we got then is going to be staying, but we will also get inside that the M2 Ultra chipset inside it. So this is the second generation of the M Ultra. We had the M1 Ultra in the Mac Studio, but this is going to be put inside the Mac Pro this time. We've also been told that we will be able to expand out the Mac Pro with other sort of cards like sound cards and sort of audio capturing cards and video capturing cards, but we're not too sure if you'll be able to upgrade the RAM, for example. We're not too sure if you'll be able to upgrade the storage, or if you'll be able to upgrade even the graphics, for example. We just don't know at this stage. It's all being kept a bit hidden how Apple are going to do that, because at the end of the day, they keep most of everything all on one chip, apart from the actual storage which is kept aside. So the RAM, the GPU, the CPU, the neural engine, you know, that's your AI bits and pieces, that's all on one chip. So basically it's going to be interesting to see what Apple will do there for the Mac Pro. But we're expecting that to possibly coming out in the April event too. But when we do get to WWDC in 2023, in June time, what's just been announced, probably the star of the show is going to be the Apple Reality headset. But what I would say is that the Apple Reality headset, I don't think it'll actually be coming out in June. I think it'll be coming out later on in the year. It's more to get developers ready to start building up their apps. So when the launch does come out, say around about say October or November time, that's what I'm predicting, then basically we'll have a kind of a bit of a store ready for this. Remember, we've had this before with the Apple Watch, we've had this with the iPhone even, that the App Store gets announced first of all, and basically developers get behind it, and then the actual product comes out a bit later on. And I think exactly the same here is going to be happening with the Apple Reality headset. Of course, there could be another scenario altogether, that there might not be an actual April event whatsoever, and it has indeed been cancelled, like I said right at the beginning of this video. And if that is the case, then WWDC is going to be really jam-packed. You've got to remember at WWDC, Apple runs through all the different operating systems every year. So we have iOS, we have iPadOS, we have macOS, watchOS, we even have Apple TV OS, we have like the HomePod OS, and you know, there's firmware updates for AirPods and things like this, and I've probably actually forgotten something else. You know, there's all the fitness stuff, arcade, I don't know, all of that kind of stuff, and Apple will take ages to talk through that. And also they might announce maybe one sort of hardware sort of product coming out as well in their WWDC, and if they were to do that, then probably you could fit it all into one set. session, but at the end of the day, if we were to get, say, brand new M3 chipsets coming out, and we're going to get the announcement of brand new MacBook Airs with the M3 chipset, or even a MacBook Pro with the M3, or even an iMac with the M3, and then also the Apple Reality headset, and then all those softwares, you can see, you know, I'm losing myself here. There's going to be lots and lots to talk about, and I don't think that's Apple's way. They need to separate it out a bit. So I personally believe that there could be an actual event happening in April time, or either that, or we will see some stuff at WWDC, and lots of these products that we talked about today might even get delayed out further on into the year. We'll just have to wait and see. But on that note, guys, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think Apple will be doing an April event still, or do you think it's canned now and that's it? WWDC is going to be next of all. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinion, and please do put them down in the comments below. And also at the same time, guys, also do remember, if you have enjoyed watching this video, please do press the like button, and also if you want to hear the latest Apple news, reviews and comparisons, please also make sure you subscribe to this channel and also hit that notification bell. Until next time, guys, I will see you really soon. Take care. Bye bye.